Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at something literally all of us deal with, the psychology of a clean home. You know, we've all met that one person, right? The one whose house is just perfectly tidy all the time. And it's so easy to just shrug and label them as naturally organized. But as we're going to see today, keeping a tidy house goes way, way deeper than just knowing where you left the broom.
I mean, think about it. Ever walked into a clean home and just instantly felt calm? Picture this. You walk through the front door, the floors are sparkling, the bed is perfectly made, and there isn't a single pile of clothes draped over a chair anywhere. It's like a breath of fresh air. Somehow, immediately, everything just feels perfectly under control. Well, that immediate feeling of peace you're experiencing, it is definitely not a coincidence. And that's exactly what we're unpacking here.
So, let's move into our first section, more than just organized, protecting peace of mind.
When we really peel back the layers here, we find that for people who naturally keep their homes clean, tidiness is actually an active daily defense mechanism. People with this mindset are often highly sensitive to details. They've got this heightened level of self-awareness about their environment. They immediately spot those little off-kilter details that the rest of us completely gloss over. You know, a crooked pillow on the couch, maybe a few stray dishes sitting in the sink, or just a tiny bit of clutter gathered on the dining table. To them, these small things absolutely register in their brains, and they stay stuck on their minds much longer than they do for the average person. And because of that heightened sensitivity, their physical environment basically dictates their emotional mood. It's a stark contrast. When their space is clean, they literally feel lighter, calmer, and way more focused. But if that exact same space gets messy, they feel distracted, irritated, and honestly mentally stuck. Their mood is intimately tied to the four walls they're sitting in.
Which brings us to Section 2, Traits of the Tidy, the Planners and System Builders.
See, for these folks, cleaning is not just some random, sporadic chore they do on a Sunday. It is a highly deliberate system. They absolutely rely on specific micro-habits. We're talking things like making the bed first thing in the morning, putting things back immediately after using them, and doing a quick sweep before going to sleep. These people are planners. They love structure and routines. They just feel immensely better when they know exactly where things are, what needs to be done, and what comes next. This whole system provides them a profound sense of structure.
Now, psychologists actually anchor these daily habits in a specific personality trait, which is called conscientiousness. Conscientious people are generally characterized by being responsible, disciplined, reliable, and of course, organized. It's so fascinating because this trait doesn't just clock out when they walk out the front door. The way they meticulously care for their living space translates directly into how they handle their entire lives. But hey, it's not all just about strict personal discipline. There's actually a really beautiful empathy aspect to this too. For a lot of people, cleaning is literally an act of kindness. A clean home is basically their way of saying, I care about this place and I care about the people inside it. They want their family to be able to just relax, and they want any guests to feel truly welcomed and completely comfortable.
Moving on to Section 3, the visual clutter effect. What mess does to the brain?
Here's the wild thing. Your environment affects your brain far more than you probably realize. When a room is messy, your brain literally has to process every single object around you. That pile of clothes, the dirty dish, those random items left on a table. Your brain doesn't just see them as neutral objects. It processes every single one of them as an unfinished task in your mind. Imagine having your daily to-do list scattered all over your living room floor. It just constantly drains your cognitive energy. And this brings us to a massive aha moment for a lot of people. Psychologists actually call this phenomenon visual clutter. It's basically the process where a physical mess quietly, almost invisibly, increases your stress, spikes your anxiety, and ultimately leads to mental exhaustion. If you've ever felt completely drained just by sitting on the couch in a disorganized room, visual clutter is absolutely the culprit.
That invisible psychological drain, it perfectly explains their internal monologue of, I just can't relax if my space is messy. And they aren't exaggerating. The visual clutter directly prevents their brains from unwinding. They literally physically cannot turn off their stress response until those visual unfinished tasks are completely put away.
Let's head into Section 4, Cleaning Your Mind, Control in a Chaotic World. So we're now moving to the emotional core of this whole explainer, which is all about finding control in the chaos. Life can be incredibly chaotic, unpredictable, and, let's be real, super overwhelming sometimes. When those heavy feelings hit, cleaning the house becomes one of the very few things a person can completely and entirely control. It essentially creates this little sanctuary of order when the outside world feels anything but orderly.
Because of this, we really need to destigmatize those negative labels that get thrown at people who love to clean. If you're someone who just needs a tidy house, listen to me. You are not weird. You are not being too much. You are definitely not being overly controlling. You simply have a mind that functions better when your environment feels calm. And as we've seen today, that makes complete psychological sense.
Which brings us to the absolute core takeaway of our explainer today. Cleaning your space is cleaning your mind. It is a perfectly healthy, incredibly effective way to literally sweep away mental exhaustion and build a solid foundation of psychological peace.
So I want to leave you with this final kind of provocative thought to reflect on. Take a quick look around you right now. Does your physical environment reflect the peace you want in your mind? Understanding this profound connection between our physical spaces and our psychology, well, it allows us to see our habits and the habits of the people we live with in a whole new, deeply empathetic light. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this explainer today, and I really hope it gave you a fresh perspective on the spaces you inhabit every single day.